Today on the Sean and Bo Show, drama in the city of Cleveland as wideout Josh Gordon popped for a DUI, and a rather controversial picture of Johnny Manziel has surfaced.
And we will be talking about Hank Baskett and his recent transgressions.
Plus, a baseball fan sues the league for being made fun of during the broadcast. Bo knows all about that. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. What's up, everybody? It is episode 10. That's right, 10 of the Sean and Bo Show. Sean O'Donnell here, along with my co-host, Bo Greer. Bo, U.S. lost in the World Cup.
Yes, they did, Sean.
Oh, God.
Yes, they did. And
travesty.
Hey, U.S. loses in the World Cup. We're on episode number 10. There's a lot of crazy things going on right now. I was just happy to see them make it to the elimination rounds.
I really never thought that this would be the case, but I'm officially sucked in, Bo. I've been watching the World Cup and watching the World Cup even after the U.S. was eliminated. I don't know if it's the summer heat that's gotten in my brain or, man, it's been riveting for me. I got to admit it. I've been watching soccer and liking it.
Well, a lot of it has to do with, you have requested for some NFL players to give you some juicy topics, and they haven't delivered.
Until now.
Gordon one till now.
Yeah, we got it this week.
We got it this week, but hey, it was kind of a dead period. Baseball really wasn't that exciting. I mean, look at that stretch. There wasn't a lot of home runs hit. There were a few no-hitters, but we've seen so many no-hitters since they took steroids out of baseball. That's not exciting anymore. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I was all over that World Cup fever, and now I'm kind of sad to see it go.
Riots in the streets, people burning couches, not quite. But people are upset. Like, I spoke to a girl I know that's a waitress at a sports bar around the corner here, and she said that they didn't even know what they were going to do if the U.S. had won that game. It was so crowded, and I would imagine pretty much any place that had some cold beers and a couple of TVs were just making money hand over fist. It was probably really good for the economy because those sports bars were not drawing anybody in this time of the year, absent the World Cup and the United States team. So
yeah, that's a well-known fact. As you know, I work for a distributor. Beer sales inside of bars this time of year, they're down. People are drinking outside. They're going to the lake. They're taking family vacations. So, the World Cup coming around every 4 years gives people a reason to kind of crowd into a dive bar or a neighborhood Chili's, Applebee's, if you're from a small town like I was. Yeah, that's all you have is an Applebee's. You all crowd in there and you cheer and you feel like one country. I gotta say,
kind of off topic, but every time I drive past a Chili's or an Applebee's, I think to myself, you guys know there's other restaurants, right? You don't have to eat there. I mean, they're like good restaurants you could have gone to.
Yeah. I always tell people, I laugh. I'm like, I forget living in a city that I do have such a plethora of just great restaurants to pick from. But as soon as I go back home to Princeton, Indiana, you have your few local favorites. But once they pack up on Friday, Saturday night, Sean, you're the guy left going to the Applebee's or going down the road to the Chili's, and that's all there is. So you understand that's how they make their money. They don't make their money in cities like this. I'm pretty sure the Manhattan Chili's in New York, is not packed on Friday night.
I think they have a TGI Fridays in Times Square. So
yeah, it's probably full of Midwesterners.
Probably. Big UFC was over the weekend. I know you caught this, Bo. A couple of great fights. First of all, the Ronda Rousey fight. I knew this was over as soon as I heard the other woman's entrance music. She was going to be busted for doping probably, but it was going to be of the herbal variety after the fight, not performance enhancing. She had no intensity, and then it kind of went to show you in 16 seconds the fight was over. I feel bad for the guy that went to grab a beer.
Yeah.
And then what happened? And after the fight was stopped, this poor lady she was fighting was like trying to grapple with the referee. Like she just got rocked.
Yeah.
Rousey with those ridiculous judo throws. I think she could probably throw somebody our size.
Oh yeah, easily.
If she was motivated and we leaned the wrong way.
No, those are like the female law enforcement officers you see where you're like, man, she's a little bit small to be doing this job. But what you don't know is she's like 7 years advanced in jiu-jitsu, and you go running at her and she launches you through a window. But it was nice to see the females getting their crack at the big time.
But she's going to run out of opponents, isn't she? I mean, I don't want it to be a circus where she's fighting men or maybe male midgets or something like that. But I mean, eventually she's just going to beat the crap out of every female contender. Once she takes down, what do they call her? Not Megatron, the
I know what you're talking about.
Cyborg. Yeah. UFC is talking about signing her, even though she's got popped for steroids and everything else multiple times. After she beats her, who else is there? I mean, we're going to need another Ronda Rousey, somebody completely new to come out of the woodwork. And but after that fight, by the way, when Rogan was, did you see the interview in the ring directly after the decision with Rogan? And he was saying, well, the guys in the truck are wanted me to ask you, do you want to fight in a month from now? And she was like, yeah, if my team says that they're okay with it, I'm down. And then as soon as the interview was over, you saw Dana White run into the picture and start yelling at Joe Rogan. Did you see that? Yeah, like it was a big deal all over Twitter. Joe Rogan's name was even trending because you could tell it was like boss yelling at employee. And then Rogan came out and said that Dana White was mad at the guy in the truck, the production team that would have, thought this was a good idea to just interject into the interview, not Joe Rogan. So,
yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't see Dana White getting too upset with Joe Rogan, even though they have made a lot of money together and he is his boss.
They're starting to look like each other.
Joe Rogan would still whoop Dana White senseless.
Have you noticed that though? Like how they say certain dog owners start to look like their pets.
You have the shirts.
They have the shirts.
I know, man. The boots, the jeans.
Jeez, man.
Oh man, and it kills me because I have always been. I mean, you've seen me most of the time. I'm like a black t-shirt kind of guy and jeans, and now that Rogan has pretty much he's copyrighted that look. If I was to wear that and be seen, I would be a Joe Rogan, copycat.
You got too much hair for that, my friend.
Yeah, I guess that is my problem there.
What did you think of the main event, Weidman Machida?
This is what I was about to say about it. Kind of relates to Rousey there. We have seen this in the UFC now with Machida getting handled. We've seen Silva get handled months back.
Handled?
They're just...
I don't know if I'd call it that.
I think they're handled. Man, you can tell the age. That's what they used to do to opponents. Now it's being done to them. And, Rousey has her time now. But whenever a new sport emerges or like UFC was first formed, you had your guys who came in and they dominated. But now these kids who are watching them at home, fantasizing about fighting in that octagon, getting that belt, they're there now. And they are competing at a high level. We're going to see more champions, I think, this decade than we've seen that first decade of the UFC going, prime time pay-per-view every month. And then with Rousey, give it 5 or 6 years. There's some young lady who's probably doing high school wrestling against a bunch of boys in Wisconsin right now, and her dad's telling her, hey, honey, we could go after this lady. It's going to happen. It always happens so fast.
That main event, though, I honestly did not expect it to go the difference. Me and my buddies were talking about, who you got, how's it going to go, KO, TKO, and none of us thought it would go to decision. I thought this was going to either be stopped or somebody was going to be resting on the floor. Weidman got hurt, man.
Yeah, he did.
You could tell he got absolutely rocked. Physically, he looked a little smaller to me. I don't know if he dropped weight for this fight or not. I'm not quite sure on that, but just his musculature, he looked way bigger fighting Silva.
Yeah, he did. And then the thing I noticed with Machida and how this fight goes is he's so technical. He has so much skill, but yet you can see he's like a step slower. And it just can't – it doesn't happen like it used to. It doesn't happen like it did 2 years ago or even 8 months ago for him. So you got to wonder, is the end near for a Machida, and is Weidman going to be able to reign in this class until there is someone that comes along that can knock him out? But it happens so fast in UFC. Dana White and those talent guys, they're out there. They're finding them. They're looking. Probably some guy in the northeast or the northwestern part of the United States right now who has friends who may pick up this show will say, hey, they were talking about the next champion. Is that you? He's out there. To guys like you and I, we feel like it's such a special skill set to be an MMA champion. We feel like it takes a while to find these guys, but it's such a big sport now.
Come on, man. Dana White's never seen me.
Yeah. Dana White is going to find him. That's what he's all about. And he does it like that because that's his business model. That's why these guys can't hold him hostage when it comes to contract negotiations. NFL, NBA, they do a good job of convincing their owners and GMs through the contracts they make them sign into that they are exclusive talent. Oh, you can't find somebody like me. You better pay me and keep me here for 5 years. Dana White, he will get you in 3 prize fights. You'll be on 5 UFC cards, and because there's a fight every month, you'll be out of the league.
More than that these days, man. It seems like there's one every other week or sometimes consecutively.
You'll be out of the league in 3 years, and everybody will be like, man, that career wasn't long, but you really fought 16 fights for the UFC. So, I'm sitting here thinking Weidman looked great, but, it's going to come a day where we'll be right here on this show talking about, man, did you see him using the smelling salts on Weidman? He got knocked out because some guy we've never heard of will emerge in a year.
Well, Bo, as you know, I've been hoping that somebody takes a gun into a nightclub that plays for the NFL or does something else stupid, maybe gets caught in an elevator on camera getting their clock cleaned by their girlfriend, something. Well, finally, we have our wish. A couple big stories this week. Josh Gordon, who had already failed a drug test last year, and he was dealing with the suspension already, correct?
Yes, he hasn't gotten the suspension handed down. So he's kind of in that.
So he gets popped for a DUI, which, a lot of people do over the July 4th holiday weekend. That's not that surprising. But what was really funny about this story, Bo, is that he wasn't even driving his car. He was driving another professional athlete's car, Bobcats forward PJ Hairston. And you might think that this was some Bugatti, perhaps an Escalade. No, a 2015 GMC Yukon. Step your drunk driving vehicle game up. You are professional athletes.
Yeah, I remember when I seen that, I was like, man, that just goes to show that young minorities in this country are more conservative than you think. We buy Dodges and Chevys, baby.
Now, what's funny about that is that PJ Hairston was in an altercation also this weekend. Now, picture this. You have a big time, what is he, like 6'4", whatever he weighs, plus 200-pound, big muscular dude. He's playing a pickup game at a YMCA and ends up punching out a high schooler.
Wow.
That's classy.
What a weekend.
But I will defend him because the high schooler actually swung on him first.
Yeah.
Those are some balls right there. You're a high schooler, you're taking a swing at a big NBA player?
Well, and then, I'm just going to go ahead and guess when I was in that age of a high schooler who was playing sports, I was in parks where there were pro athletes or guys in college that were looking to go to the NBA or whatever. And I was pretty big, so I wouldn't have been afraid to take a swing at one of those guys when I was 16. A lot of times, if you just get lucky and land that blow, everybody else that's seen it or hears about it within earshot, they'll never mess with you again.
The other interesting thing I saw today it was on Reddit, reddit.com/r/sports, if you'd like to see the photograph. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard any ESPN folks or any other big media outlets talking about this. But there's a picture of Las Vegas, of Johnny Manziel in Las Vegas, photographed in a bathroom with a rolled up bill. That's right. He was rolling up the bill. I don't know much about this, folks. Some people were theorizing that he might have been doing the weeds. Might have purchased a weed when he was going to snort the weed, or some other drug. I don't know, way over my head, Bo. I think people are jumping to conclusions. There are plenty of other explanations for Johnny Manziel in a Las Vegas bathroom with a rolled up bill, Bo. He could have been showing off his blow dart skills to his buddies. Maybe he lost the straw to his Capri Sun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe he was fashioning himself a small paper telescope and he was going to pretend to be a tiny pirate. We don't know.
Well, what I was thinking is because he is so rich, maybe he's to the stage where you have oil money and NFL money. You start using your dollar bills as toilet paper. So maybe that's how you prepare the bill to go between the crevice and do your business. You know what I mean? So Johnny Manziel, maybe he was going to blow his nose into the bills. I don't know what he was going to do. Either way, Cleveland Browns, you have a young crop of men on your team. Seems like it's a culture because it goes far away from the practice facilities. It goes to Las Vegas. It goes to North Carolina. It seems to me when these guys are away, they really know how to play. And when they're in the practice facility, they're not learning anything about football because what goes on the field for the Cleveland Browns organization isn't exactly world-class football. So let's step back. Let's look at the comments over the past few weeks. They have all been focused at who? Johnny Manziel. Johnny needs to grow up. Johnny needs to do this. He needs to stop going to Drake concerts. All the while,
Hey, in fairness, everybody should stop going to Drake concerts.
Josh Gordon is DUI, possession, a controlled substance or whatever in the system, which is what, marijuana, I believe. And as far as the DUI goes, the sheriff did release that he was not suspected of any drugs. There was nothing, so it was just alcohol. And he was 1 point over the legal limit. So it's not like he was hell-raising out there, but it was still a lack of good judgment. So now you ask yourself, is the Cleveland Browns organization just this systematic tool that the NFL needs to A, keep people in that whole region interested in football because the Lions stink, and about the only thing they hold on to is the old Cleveland Brown days when they won before I was even thought of. I was still just a gleam in my daddy's eye. It was so long ago. Or are we in the midst of just a bunch of young punks of the new school that don't understand when you're in this situation, you need to act and carry yourselves a certain way? What is it?
No, I know exactly what it is, Bo. And the fact of the matter is, if you were a young, about to be rich professional athlete that knew they were going to have to live in Cleveland for the next few years, you'd probably be drinking a little bit more too.
So without even spending time in Cleveland, they have turned Johnny Manziel into a alleged cocaine user and Gordon into what the class substances he uses are alcohol and marijuana. So that's like a class C felony, and it's not even the big stuff. So now we have to listen to ESPN, on the other hand, try and sell us that LeBron James is interested in Cleveland when we know it's drove 18 and 19-year-olds to drink. But, it's Sean, we can't get caught up in these topics because they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant now. They're going to be irrelevant when football gets here. By week 4, we're going to be talking about Johnny Manziel starting, and we're going to be talking about Gordon getting back from his suspension. He'll still be awaiting the DUI suspension. Do you think that legislation is going to come out before the season starts?
No.
That takes time.
Yeah.
Because they got to go to court for it. You got to find out if he's guilty or not. So they may escape losing Gordon for the DUI until next year. It could really take that long because this is just now happening. NFL football is going to be preseason time here in just weeks. So we're not looking at – so this could be interesting. I mean, we could have alleged cocaine user rolling up bills in the Vegas strip club or wherever he was, throwing passes to Gordon, awaiting DWI suspension. And then here's the worst part, people. You know it's going to work. Because it's the Cleveland Browns, it's going to work. It has to work. The stars will align, the moon's going to have a smile on its face, and the Cleveland Browns are going to win 4 in a row because Manziel is a nut job and Gordon is addicted to drinking and driving and smoking a little bit of reefer when he knows he has a drug test coming up for reefer. You know it's going to work. It's going to present problems for Cleveland because now they're going to have something and then it's going to go away. You may think I'm crazy, but you know how these situations always go down in the NFL. Anytime you have a couple young, flashy guys that live life on the edge, for some reason it works, but they can never keep themselves out of trouble long enough to see a playoff win.
Well, coming up on the Sean and Bo Show, Bo played for the University of New Mexico, and guess who his teammate was? Hank Baskett. Some interesting Hank Baskett news that Bo will address from a rather personal perspective. It's coming up next on the Sean and Bo Show. Thanks again for listening to the Sean and Bo Show. It's episode 10. Big things are in the works here at the Sean and Bo Show Executive Studio Headquarters. And in order to make those a reality, we need some sponsors. So if you know of any small business, any cause, website, video series, another podcast, whatever, we don't care, hit us up. Cheap advertising. Send us an email. It's seanandboshow@gmail.com. Follow us on iTunes and, of course, at seanandboshow.podomatic.com.
Well, here we are again, Sean, with the Sean and Bo Show, and boy, do we have an interesting topic for you listeners out there. Yes, as you might know, I did play football for the University of New Mexico, and during my time there for a couple years, I had the pleasure of sharing many off the field and on the field experiences with the Mr. Hank Baskett. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I played with Kendra's husband.
As a matter of fact, Bo, when I was on the radio during that time when you were in college, we did a thing at the University of New Mexico practice field, and Hank Baskett came by, and I have thrown a pass to Hank Baskett. So we both met the man.
We have a lot of connections to this guy on the show, and if you haven't been living, on planet Earth, you don't know about what's out there. We're going to explain to you that apparently, while Hank Baskett's lovely wife, Kendra Wilkins, was pregnant, about 8 months pregnant, according to Radar Online and TMZ, with their second child, a beautiful young girl, he kind of strayed. That's what one of the reports said.
That's putting it awfully mildly.
Yeah, he strayed away to a model. No, that's good. The model's good.
They can't see your air quotes, Bo.
And here, the model turns out to be a transgender model who not only has a trail of money and gifts worth $50,000 worth of shut the heck up, don't tell anybody this happened, but also she has pictures of the Jeep allegedly pulling into the driveway and a whole stream of text messages ranging from the first time they met of, hey, baby, you're hot, to the text messages from the recent of stop talking to the media, don't publish anything. So it's great. It's one of those stories that for the next year we're probably going to see every tabloid grab it and talk about it. But just to talk about my time with Hank,
is this believable to you, Bo? Do you think they're lying?
Yes, I totally believe it. I went to spring break with Hank in Mexico. The guy, he loves the ladies. One thing I will say, when I seen the pictures of the transgender model, I was definitely not surprised. I used to joke, I don't think Hank listened to Sir Mix-a-Lot when we were kids, because my favorite line was, I'm tired of magazines saying flat butts are the thing. Hank, he definitely went after this chick. She fits the build of all the ladies he used to date in college. But, I have a video back at the house, I've told you this, of the exploits of Hank Baskett on spring break. And it's just amazing. The women that he would go after. And then the funny thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best part. These women would be in love with him. They would be ready to marry this guy. And I'm like, he was just necking 5 women in the bar and you were watching. Yet you're telling me now that he's inside of this motel room with the other 4 girls he met on the way back to the motel. You're still in love with him, and you're going to wait here until he comes out. Oh, my gosh.
Money's a hell of a drug, Bo.
Yeah, it's money. A lot of it's money. But, when he went away to the NFL and had his brief career there with the Eagles and the Colts, he meets Kendra. And right away, a guy that I knew as a star of a college football team and a free agent who got a few commercial deals and all that, became the wife of a playmate. And that transformation was interesting because I remember a time Hank was back in Albuquerque and he was at one of the local casinos and he was in the back in one of the special VIP rooms where you couldn't get to him, but people who knew him could go back and say hi. You know me, I could care less about that kind of crap. I think unless you're the president of the United States or the governor of a state, you don't need to be protected. Hey, if I had $100 million, you would still catch me riding down Central with the top down because I am not changing. I'm not one of those guys. And Hank was one of those people where you could just see this lifestyle. It was him. He loved that bodyguards and paparazzi and, having to throw the blanket over him and his wife's face as they went to the private jet. That kind of stuff, it's laughable to me because here's a guy who was an undrafted free agent sitting on his mom's couch crying because nobody called him on draft day, battles his way into the league, ends up messing up and not getting an onside kick in the Super Bowl and was kind of blamed for that for the Colts. And then ends up with a TV show, becomes more popular for the TV show than what he did on the football field.
Yeah, what were you saying his Wikipedia listed his profession as?
I just seen on Wikipedia, ladies and gentlemen, that they listed his profession as soccer player. Yes, Hank Baskett has fallen so far that he's now a soccer player. Now
that hurts.
That hurts. To play in the NFL and now be called a footballer, that does. Somebody took a shot at him. I wonder if Kendra and her people hacked onto his Wikipedia page in recent hours. I wouldn't put it past them. But, it's number one, I want to get this out there. University of New Mexico is still a great place to send your young daughters and your young football players.
Debatable.
Don't get caught up in this, because what also used to anger me as I worked after finishing college, people would come and be like, oh, did you play with Hank Baskett? And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, he played in the NFL. Everybody knows Hank Baskett. He's from Clovis. No, I watched the Kendra show, and I see Hank all the time. I just want to know, what was he like? And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, really? You marry a playmate because you're lucky enough to be in the Maloof's VIP section in Vegas because they're another group of New Mexican families, you know? And here you are on a TV show. You get a company. You said he had a water company going.
I think that's what he's doing now. I think he has some bottled water company.
Yeah, life is going down the right road.
Is it?
And here you go, Hank. You got your second baby on the way, and you're sneaking across town to hook up with a a transgender model. Way to go, buddy. That's a real Lobo way there. As the Mountain West Conference says, above the rest. You definitely were not above the rest when you were hanging out with Miss London.
He could have been. We haven't seen the tape.
Well, apparently, Radar Online says there was a little bit of a mutual favor performed.
Oh, no. Okay. NBA news, Bo. Some big deals already being signed, but they don't involve any of the big players. Instead, some sort of pieces for the Miami Heat that are probably going to make a difference, but they're not LeBron James, D. Wade, or Chris Bosh. No, Danny Granger and who's the other guy that just
Josh McRoberts.
Roberts, yeah, they both signed. I think Granger 2-year deal. Not sure.
$2.4 million, and I want to say that McRoberts is looking at a 4-year deal worth $23 million.
Now, if you're listening to this in another state where people don't really care about Danny Granger, he's a big deal here because he too is a Lobo.
Yeah, and interesting with that contract, 4 years ago, Danny Granger was one of the top 12 NBA players in the league, and now he's getting 2-year deals worth $2 million.
Injuries, man. They will deflate your value real quick.
Oh, gosh, that is evil. Yeah, and we sit around and talk about it, ladies and gentlemen, about how we get all upset about the money these guys make. But the last time I checked, if my back starts hurting at my job, they don't knock my hourly wage down. They can have their millions and all that mess that they deal with in the form of contracts, because he's still the same guy to me. But they're going to get him for $2.3 or $4 million. It's amazing.
I think that's a bargain, obviously.
Yeah, Danny Granger.
But I'll tell you what's not a bargain is the deal that reportedly Chris Bosh has been shopping around with Houston. This is a max deal that he's apparently interested in, and the Rockets are willing to offer it up. 4-year deal, $22 million a year for Chris Bosh. For Chris, I'm going to go stand in the corner and wait for you to pass me the ball, Bosh.
Sean, you know what this is, buddy? This is where business trumps championships. He's a Texan. He's a Texan boy. Bring him home. Let's sell tickets. That boy needs to be over here. I can hear him now. Chris Bosh is a big Texan. You got the Toyota Center down there ready to put his picture up on the side. He'll be selling local cars. He'll be selling Chevys. Watch, he'll be selling dually pickups down there in South Texas. The farm. Yeah. I'm telling you, man. Just get ready. But it's where business trumps championships. And if you're not willing to believe that as a fan, you better believe it. You are always going to be subject to some owner who has some marketer or some guy who went to Harvard in his ear telling him about, Chris Bosh is going to get you a lot of off-the-court deals, and people know him all the way up to Dallas because he played high school basketball. That was crazy. I seen that go across the wire, and I just couldn't believe it. But then I remembered, straight out of Texas, let's bring him home and sell some tickets.
All right, well, coming up next on the Sean and Bo Show, an MLB fan sues the league and the Yankees. I'll explain the reason why. Plus, I've got a story, Bo, that'll make you fearful for the security of your day job. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Don't know if you guys heard, but Adam Carolla is being sued by patent trolls. That's right, these folks are trying to take down podcasting as we know it. Somebody bought a cheap patent, got themselves into a district in Texas that has a very lenient judge, and is trying to claim the patent on podcasting madness. So, Adam Carolla needs our help. You can donate anything you can. Just go to the website, fundanything.com/patent troll. That's fundanything.com/patent troll. Hey folks, welcome back to episode 10 of the Sean and Bo Show. Before we get on to the last couple stories, I'd like to thank you, A, for listening, and B, for telling a friend, your mama, somebody, a coworker. We depend on you to grow the show, so please let somebody know. You can find us on iTunes, and you can check us out, all the previous episodes at seanandboshow.podomatic.com. So, a fan is suing the Major League Baseball Association, not because Major League Baseball League, not association. That's the NBA, Bo.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's suing the league because he was made fun of during a broadcast. I don't know if you've seen this story yet, Bo. This guy fell asleep at a game. It happens. You don't know if a guy's been tailgating or, the drinks are strong in the stadium that day or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was the fourth inning.
Ooh.
So he fell asleep in the fourth inning, and immediately the announcers, the camera guy caught him, of course, and they put him on screen, and the announcers were just taking jabs, what he describes in his suit as let me get this right, an unending verbal crusade against him. Now, let me just say this, and I don't want to get sued. Don't sue us. But if you fall asleep in the fourth inning, and you're in a public place where there are broadcasters and cameras around, oh man, you gotta take your licks. You sort of have to expect that. And moreover, the suit also alleged that they had called him fatty. Well, let me tell you something. John Kruk is not calling anybody fatty. Okay, that's not coming out of his mouth. So yeah, he's suing. Named the plaintiffs. You got the league itself. You got ESPN, and you got the Yankees. Some big time money there.
Wow.
So we'll see.
What a reach, man. I wish I knew this guy. I wish I could find him. I just want to talk to him and see what type of person he is. I'm not going to sit here and guess, but these types of people exist. If you're going to go to a baseball game and fall asleep before the seventh inning, because they usually serve beer until the seventh inning, you're somewhat of a, well, I guess I can't say it. I don't want to get sued.
We don't want the lawsuits.
But, yeah, I hope he doesn't win, because if this guy wins this lawsuit, Pandora's box is officially opened.
Bo, my friend, it's a magical time to be alive. It's a wondrous day and age that you and I live in, although you might be fearful of the security of your job stocking beers, because they have announced that for the first time during the Major League All-Star Game, all right, you ready for this, Bo? They're going to have self-serve automated beer on tap.
Yep.
Self-serve automated beer on tap. It is the future, and we are here, my friends.
I've seen those machines. Those things are bad.
So the way this works is you walk up to a cash register, you show them your ID, and you can preload a $10, $20, or for the All-Star Game, now we're talking $50 card. And then you can go up to one of these kiosks and actually choose how many ounces you want. So if you don't want a third of a beer, maybe you brought a flask in, you just need a chaser, you can buy a third of a beer. It's priced at 38 cents an ounce for Bud Light. And if you want the fancy stuff, the Shock Top Lemon Shandy or the Goose Island 312 Urban Pale Ale, 40 cents per ounce. So you might be wondering, well, aren't people going to be getting absolutely hammered? Short answer, yes. Long answer, the machines are pre-programmed to only dispense a particular customer's card with 48 ounces of beer every 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of limit is that? 48 ounces every 15 minutes? Somebody's going to die, Bo.
You know what? That's why I work for those guys. They think of everything. Anheuser-Busch is always out there on that cutting edge. And when I seen those machines right away, I was thinking, oh, gosh, they're going to get it real bad from one of these organizations, these labor organizations. But it never happened, because what they did was, to ensure they still need an employee, they were like, well, someone has to check IDs. So they got themselves out of that one. They didn't totally just get rid of every beer employee that you ever known at the stadium. But one thing I will be interested to see, you see this at Isotope Stadium locally if you go here, and if you go to a lot of the other stadiums that are financed by the state government, which is pretty much every big stadium nowadays, they have these deals. It's kind of like what corn farmers do. It's like a subsidy. If you're going to make me pay X amount in taxes, I want to kick back on having this amount of employees. And when you go to Isotope's game, I don't know if you've been recently, You'll be in line and you're like, okay, I'm going to get a hot dog, I'm going to get a beer, I'm going to get the kids some peanuts. There's literally 6 people at a station ready to wait on you. And you're like, what is going on? But then you remember, oh yeah, they always negotiate this deal with the city council and they hire these people and they get like subsidies. They get like a tax break on this, you know? And I wonder now when I go to a major league stadium, I think Milwaukee Target Field was the first one for the Brewers play or whatever. Isn't it the first one that has this kiosk?
It would make sense.
I think it is the first one that has it. I would love to go there just to see what they have done with all these employees. You know they dispersed them somewhere. So I imagine like at the hot dog station where you get like a chili dog, there's like 5 people. Like one person gets the hot dog out of the water, one person takes the bun out of the sack, the other one puts the chili on, and then the last one puts the cheese on the top.
It's pretty much what happened with General Motors. They just like took one job and split it into about 10.
Yeah. It's like we required one man to make a hot dog in 1996. 2016, the beer kiosk came along, and now we streamlined the hot dog making process. It is now a 6-man job.
How about this, Bo? Besides the kiosks, they're also going to add a couple of menu items at the stadium: lobster corn dogs,
Ooh-wee.
and a hangover burger, which is appropriate given the 48 ounces of beer every 15 minutes limit. The hangover burger, which will get you 2 patties, bacon, cheese, a fried egg, mayo, ketchup, and sriracha.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It doesn't sound too bad. Now, not for this to turn into a what really grinds my gears segment, Bo, but I just hope that the self-serve kiosk doesn't turn into the same thing that you get whenever you go to the grocery store now, the self-serve checkout.
No.
Where all of a sudden you get some blue-haired lady in front of you that
Yes.
you know can barely work a gumball machine, that is trying to scan these items, and it takes so damn long. And you know that the advent of those self-serve checkout machines isn't for the benefit of the customer.
No.
It's not so you can get out of there quicker. It's so that they can have less employees.
Yes.
So just you know, if you're gonna use the self-serve beer kiosk, watch a tutorial online or something before the game, because I'll tell you. If I can only drink 48 ounces of beer per 15 minutes, my time's valuable, folks.
Yes.
You know, learn the craft before you approach the machine.
And is it going to be one of those deals where when I can see it at like a concert, you know, I'm going to watch me some good old school music. I'm having
Britney
a
Spears.
good time. Yeah, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, you know, the good stuff.
The good stuff.
And I go walking over to the beer kiosk, and you just like, you step in it. You know that feeling when you're just like that squish, and you're like, you don't want to look down, but then you do look down, and you're like, oh, that's somebody's lunch. And then it's a pool of beer, and then somebody pissed over here. Is the beer kiosk going to turn into like the neighborhood you don't go through, the neighborhood you avoid? You're like, I'll just get the $20 beer because at least that station's clean. Because the $7 beers now are covered in hepatitis C.
Just have some sprinklers right above these beer kiosks. Easy cleanup. You know, every 30 minutes you get sprayed down in the general vicinity.
Yeah.
Make things nice and tight.
You know it's going to get messy, man. Come on. We've been to buffets.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Sean and Bo Show. We will be back next Monday. Until then, tip your pizza man.
See you next time.